precious. So we have a very, very dynamic duo of presenters coming up to the microphone next. This is a rare treat. It's not often that we have folks telling stories in tandem. So how about a round of applause, huh?
Well, it's a special treat for me. We're father and daughter. I'm Joe. This is my daughter, Kate. And thank you. The story that we're going to share is one that I have shared many, many, many times, but it's usually about my daughter and about our relationship and about, it's a Christmas story that didn't take place at Christmas, but since the theme tonight was a Christmas story, I thought, well, I'd like to tell that story, but why don't I bring my daughter Kate with me to help tell the story? So that's what we're going to try and do. I've never told it this way before, but we'll give it a shot. As I said, this is a story I've told many times. It happened when my daughter Kate was 9, and she just turned 26. And we were, this summer when she was 9, we were doing something that we did all the time. We were driving around in the car, running errands, just hanging out together. That's what we did, and we still try to find time to do that. Well, this particular afternoon, when we were out driving around running errands, we had just pulled into a parking lot, and Kate, as was not unusual, Kate, just out of the blue, asked me a question. Totally unexpected, especially for this time of year. Out of the blue, she said, "Dad, is Santa Claus real? Or do moms and dads get all the presents and, wrap all the gifts and put them under the tree? Is that how that works?" And here I am, stunned, starting to immediately assess in my head, how do I answer this? I've always been honest with her, appropriately honest, but when she's asked real questions, I always try to give it to her straight. But this has implications. So how am I going to handle this? So did you want to?
Yeah, sure. So just so you know, I'm not a pro at this, so forgive me if I. So basically, like my dad said.
Like my dad said.
No, he and I always had that kind of relationship. So we always hung out. I'd always ask him questions. I'd be like, okay, so what about this? What about that? A lot of times, I love my mom, obviously, she's right there, but we just didn't have that kind of relationship in the same way. So I always went to my dad for the important things and the sometimes clearly uneasy things like, hey, Dad, what's a virgin? What's a period? What are these different, things you usually ask your mom, but I always just asked him because we were just like that. So I have no idea, and the funny thing is he tells a story and I don't truly remember it. Like, he'll tell me, I'll be like, I really said that? Wow, weird. So I have no idea why I chose that time or why I decided to ask, but if there was one person I was going to ask, it was going to be him, So
I'm sitting there in stunned silence, assessing how I'm going to handle this. As I said, I really high value with Kate was tell her, speak truth, tell her honestly the answers to things. And another high value, though, was protect her innocence as long as I possibly could. And so here I am going, okay, protect her innocence, but she's asking, and I always believe that when kids start asking things, they need to know. So I thought, okay, she needs to know. So I take one more look at her childhood innocence, and I jump out of the plane. Yes, Kate, the parents do everything. Santa Claus is real, but Santa Claus is a feeling, an idea, it's magic, but it really is the parents who bring the gifts, wrap the gifts, put the gifts under the tree, and there it is. And then she had one more question just to clarify and to kind of dig me a little bit deeper. She needed a little more information.
to which I said, okay, but what about the cookies and the milk and the carrot for the reindeer? I don't get it. I'm confused. What about that?
So I was already out on the ledge, So I had to keep going. So I said, yes, the parents do all of those things. The parents eat the cookies. The parents drink the milk. And sometimes the parents bite off the end of the carrot so it looked like the reindeer ate the carrot. And that's how that really happens. And again, she's staring at me. We're both sitting in silence.
And I couldn't help but ask, why did you keep this from me?
That's exactly how she asked it. Disbelief, indignant, and now again I'm sitting here like, now what do I say? How do I respond to this? But she gave me an out.
I guess I just really couldn't handle what my dad had just told me, so I just kind of laughed it off and I was like, you're just kidding, right? Santa Claus is real and he brings the presents, not you guys. You were just kidding, right? Weren't you?
So I assessed that one really fast. I had an out, number one, and number two, clearly, neither of us was ready for this bubble to be burst. So without hesitation, I said, absolutely, I was just kidding. Of course Santa Claus is real. The moms and dads don't bring the presents. We're Santa's helpers. Wasn't that a funny joke? And we both just sort of went, phew, okay. And so Santa was real for at least one more season. But ever since then, whether it was Kate asking or anyone else asking me, is Santa Claus real? My answer to this day is, of course Santa Claus is real. Do I believe in Santa Claus? I absolutely believe in Santa Claus, and you should too. End of story. Thank you.
So that was fantastic to have a father-daughter story, was it not? Was that fabulous? Of course he's real. Absolutely, I was joking. I love it. Good for you. Good for you. I would have probably done the same thing.